In the next couple football coaching strategy and training tips, I want to talk about formations that defenses can't defend. And I want to start out this first one with Twins Pro. I also want to let you know that I've done a book which you can find on Amazon.com. Put my name in, Bill Renner, and it'll come up. But it's entitled Using Offensive Formations to Dictate Defensive Alignment. And this is what it looks like. So you can get even more information about the formations that I'm going to cover by reading this book in more detail. So let's start out by explaining what Twins Pro is. That's the formation we're going to talk about today. And so I want to let you know that I first learned about this formation and the effect it has on a defense by studying the Colts when Peyton Manning was the quarterback in the 2000s. They used this formation pretty extensively because he understood that he could come to the line and see which of the three areas they didn't have numbers in, and then he could exploit that by getting into the right play. So that's one of the ways that a quarterback, when you give him the freedom to come up and inspect the defense and get into the right place, the way they do that is they look at the three areas and then they see which one doesn't have the numbers, and then they know what play to call. Okay? This formation is twins on the left, and it's a pro set on the right, and it has a tight end. Now, you don't have to have a true tight end. I ran out of tight ends in terms of the size that you really would like to have a tight end. The last one that I used was basically, that played true tight end, was 5'10", 175 pounds as a high school player, and he did a really good job, but he wouldn't be considered a true tight end. So what I started to do was I would use one of my receivers, a slot receiver, who was in that 5'10", 170, 180 pound range, and I would put him in as the tight end, and he would move in to the tight end position, but I didn't require him to block and knock people off the ball. As you'll see, all he really had to do was seal this 7 technique. So you say, well, I don't have a tight end. You don't need a true tight end to do this. But you do want to use somebody who's basically a bigger receiver that may be a little slower that you're playing in the slot. Okay? What we say is, when I say defenses can't defend, is can't defend means they can't get the numbers to all three areas. And what I'm going to show you is 4 different scenarios of way to defend this formation, so you can see that they can't get numbers to the 3 areas of this defense. And then after I've done that, I'm going to go over plays that I use to attack the basic formation, with the basic formation, and how the defense would play it, and the plays that I would use to attack it. So what I do to get the 3 areas is I take and I draw a line from outside the offensive tackle and outside the tight end, and then that declares the 3 areas that we would come to the line of scrimmage, or that myself as a play caller would be looking at to see where they wanted to put the numbers. Since everybody runs this double twins formation, we know that they generically would play 3/2 on that. Okay? And the interesting thing about this is when you put a tight end in a game, it kind of fools or kind of makes them decide how they really want to play this 2 receiver set. So what happens when they play their normal defense, which is a 7 technique, moves to the tight end, this Sam linebacker has to make a decision whether he's going to play outside or he's going to play inside, as it is in this case, because right now they're 1-on-3 to this area, to the pro side. They're 2-on-3 to the twin side. So they basically have these passing games covered, but they're only 8-on-5 in the box. And the thing about this formation, it really gives you a good opportunity to make them put people in the box to open up the passing game, or to make them have people cover the passing game, and then they won't have enough in the box. So if they play a true defense and they move the mic over to cover this B gap, they play their normal 3-on-2 over the twins, okay, they don't have enough in the box, and it really creates a good running situation. I'm going to go over why I leave the running back to the tight end side as I talk about the plays that I'm going to attack the defense. But basically, this gives me an opportunity when the back is to the tight end side to really have 3 receivers to this side. So in essence, if these 3 are playing pass and he's playing in the box and trying to cheat the box, I could take this B and get him out and end up 3-on-3 to that side. So I can create another avenue to be 3-on-3 to this side. Okay? Let's look at the second way that they might play this is they might move the Sam linebacker in over the tackle and protect him because he doesn't really have a run responsibility. So right now in the running game, they would get 8-on-6, which still is not enough, and I'm counting the quarterback as a possible runner because you can always use the B as a lead blocker. So that's why it's 8-on-6. And now they have the Mike playing this A-gap, and then they have the Sam playing this A-gap, depending on what they would read in terms of the running back where he was going to his track to the line of scrimmage. Okay, so if they move the Sam linebacker in to help in the running game exclusively, they're still 2-on-1 in the pass game, which is good for them, and they're still 2-on-3, and they haven't changed how they're going to play the twins. Okay, but we still are able to run the ball, and because we have enough bodies here. The third way they could play this to protect themselves and get another guy in the box to be 8-on-7 is they could take this Will and cheat him over right on the edge so that, and then move this defensive end to a 4-eye technique. Now, number one, they have to have trained that end to be a 4-eye because typically he's a 5 technique, so he's used to playing outside. So already we've gotten one of their position players to not be in a position to do what he's trained to do unless they also train him to be a 4-eye. The second thing they could do is they could move the 7 technique to a 9. So what we've done right now is we've taken the defensive ends simply by our formation and us running the ball in these first 2 alignments that they have, since we have such an advantage. We've been able to take the defensive ends and make them play different techniques in order to get another guy, a 7th guy in the box, okay? So this Will linebacker is kind of the one that's trying to run if he gets a pass read to his zone, or also help in the run game. And so they've changed the 2 defensive ends, put the Sam inside in order to get 7 people. The other person that cheats the box is this strong safety. So to get an extra guy in the box, they move the strong safety even farther over. As you can see here, he's definitely declared that he's going to help on that receiver. And then now they moved him inside to help cheat on that box. Okay? So here, by moving the Will inside, we really could run 2-on-2 routes because this Will is so far inside. We could play action, throw him a hitch, but I'm going to go over all the ways to attack these kind of alignments with regard to that. So what you're seeing now is we've gotten 2 of the 3 areas that we're able to exploit: the passing game on the 2x2 side, and then still in the run game because we have 8-on-7. And then we're going to give them this in 1-on-2. Okay? But depending on where that strong safeties line up, we could still be able to throw these 1-on-1 routes against that corner. That could be a good matchup. The fourth way that we've seen and they could do is they could actually start to play man-to-man. And once they do that, they're now 2-on-2 to the twin side, which gives us good opportunity to throw against that. They're still 8-on-7, even though they're going to cheat the strong safety down and put him in the box. He's the box cheater. So it could be 8-on-8, but I'll show you when you run that he's really not a factor and can ever be considered somebody in the box. And now we're 1-on-1 with the corner. So what we've done is we have forced them by this formation and by us understanding the 3 areas and how they could possibly adjust to stop it. But really what you should see is that in pretty much all these 4 scenarios, we have a pretty good run advantage. We can at least, even if we don't decide to run the quarterback, be 7-on-7 and blocking people. So it's important to understand that this formation, while still giving you your twin combo routes, and this pro formation give you a different way to present your passing routes, it's a really good formation to run the ball. And what you'll see is I'm going to do next is I'm going to go over the running plays that I use to attack this defense. So now let's talk about some run plays that are really good using the Twins Pro formation. And so I have two core run plays that I ran all the time out of this formation and made the core run plays even in our other formations. And that was inside zone and counter. In case you haven't seen some of my other videos, I coached my own offensive line for 17 years out of the 23 years I was a head coach. So these schemes aren't something that I just drew up on the board as a offensive coordinator and told somebody else to teach the blocking. I taught these blocking schemes to our offensive linemen for a long time. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to attack the defensive lineman's technique by giving our offensive linemen good blocking angles. In other words, we would go ahead and leave this 3 technique and let it play as B gap. We're not necessarily going to try to knock him out of that B gap to have a good running play. So you're going to see that theme as I go through and explain these blocking schemes. Okay? So when we run inside zone, I run all my runs down the midline. And basically I do that because what I found is that when you run the midline, the 2 defensive ends are so far away and they're playing C gaps that they never get involved in the midline run game. So we've eliminated 2 guys and 2 of their best guys from being part of the tackling and defending our run plays by running the midline. So in the midline, the running back will shuffle over to the quarterback's inside foot and then he'll head straight down the hill. This helps set up the fact that this right guard is going to take his left foot step, put his face on the inside armpit breastplate of the 3 technique and seal him in his gap. The center is going to step with his right foot, put his face in the inside armpit breastplate and seal him and let him play his gap. Okay? The left guard is going to take a step to make sure there's not a stump between the shade and the mic coming over the top. And if not, he'll touch him and then he'll go up and seal the mic and do what we call hunt. Hunt means he can take this linebacker wherever he goes. So if all of a sudden this linebacker starts to run fast to the A gap because he sees the running back shuffle over to that midline, then he can just take him to the right and put him where over in that area where he wants to go. If he doesn't and he settles there, then he can just pin him right there, attack his inside armpit, and shield him from getting to the midline. Okay? These are pretty simple blocks for the 2 tackles. Step with your inside foot, put your face in his inside armpit breastplate, and let him play a C gap. The right tackle blocks out, seals the 7 technique, and the tight end arc releases and seals the Sam linebacker. Anytime we have somebody going to the second level, we do what we call that hunt technique. We don't ask him to take him a certain place. We ask him to go cover his body and take him where he wants to go. And we'll allow the running back to make a cut. You'll notice that on these pass routes, I don't believe in having the receivers run block. It's not a skill they want to do. I've done a whole separate video on this. And so I have them run a pass route so I can gather information on how the secondary is going to play a pass route. The other thing that I found that it helps me with is it delays any of these secondary people from coming in and helping on the run. So I have a chance to break the line of scrimmage and get more yardage because they're playing pass. In this case, we're running our 3 pass route. So I can see how the Z has a post, the A is running a fade or an inside takeoff, and the X run a comeback. I can see how they play those plays, those pass route concepts, before I actually throw them. And I can give the quarterback information to help him understand what was going to happen. Okay? The second core play we run is the counter. And we run this to the 0 and the 5 technique. Okay? So what's going to happen here is we are going to take the center and block back on the 3 technique. And once again, it leaves him in his gap. We're going to take the left guard and the left tackle, and we're going to double team the shade, and we're going to try to get him all the way over here to this wall that I've drawn and get him off the midline, because remember, we're going to run down the midline. So their job is to get him. This left guard is critical in that he's going to put his face on the inside armpit breastplate. Now, if you teach this, you got to tell him you got to step flat to the ball. You got to step flat down the line of scrimmage. You can't go attack him, or you'll miss that block and he'll run up the field. Okay? And then the left tackle has the outside armpit breastplate, and he's responsible for turning this whole thing and getting it across the midline. he will then release and he'll block the second level pursuit, which would be this Sam. Okay? He doesn't get off that double team block until they get across the midline, or if the Sam linebacker fast flows. So he's watching the Sam, staying on the double team as long as possible. This right guard has what we call a pull and kick out. He is going to take his pull step and he's going to run downhill as tight off the center's rear end as possible. When I teach this, I have them touch the center, so it's as tight as possible because I don't want any run through by the Mike linebacker. And then he runs into the line of scrimmage and he fans out on the 5 technique. We do that because one of the techniques this defensive end could do is he could wrong arm any pullers. And we do not want to be able to run this outside. We want to run this inside. So by having him pull and run into the line and fan out, we're going to dig him out no matter how he tries to log us. And if you take that path, you can dig those guys out. Okay? The second puller, which is the right tackle, he does what I call pull and paddle. Once again, he takes an open step with his left foot, he finds the center's butt, and that's where he's running downhill. Now, even though this is drawn wide, we hope that this is right here, he's running tight off this wall to get the mic. Okay? So he finds the mic and he hunts the mic. If the mic is outside, he kick him out. If the mic is sitting right in the midline, he's just going to belly him up like he's a fullback running the ISO and put his body on his body. So he'll take him and hunt him wherever he goes. The tight end is going to take a step with his inside foot, and he's going to seal the 7 technique. Okay? Our counter is a really good play that we run even without a tight end, but when you put the tight end in Twins Pro and he blocks the defensive end, it really makes it an even better play because you don't have anybody running you down from the backside. In all these scenarios, the quarterback will hand the ball to the running back and he'll take 3 drop back steps because this type of blocking and this type of running back action is what we would do on our play action pass. Okay? I don't do RPOs. I don't believe in RPOs because I think that having the quarterback read a defender is not a good long-term consistent way to attack people in the pass game. I think it's much better if you run a pass route, see how they react off your run play, and then run a play action pass by telling the quarterback, hey, they didn't play this post very well. This will came in on the counter. So next time we run counter, we're going to block counter and we're going to throw the post here. Okay? But we have that built into our system as a play action pass, not an RPO. All right? The other 3 blocking schemes that turn out pretty good in Twins Pro that you can use, I didn't use them as often, but I always practiced them and had them ready if I felt like it was something we wanted to do or could do that maybe somebody hadn't seen or gave us a little bit of an advantage. And that is you run a sweep to the 7 technique. Notice that in all these situations, I always have a particular way to run this. And you can tell your quarterback so that if you call it wrong, he can get you to the right spot to run it against. We run the 7 technique. We're going to block down on the 7, block down on the 3. We're going to pull the right guard. The right guard becomes either the kick out the alley player or seal the second level player. In this case, the Sam linebacker is playing in the box. So as he pulls around, he's going to seal him. If he was out here where he was in this particular defensive alignment, he would kick him out. So these guards, when they pull, they have interchangeable. It could either be kick out or alley. When this left guard pulls, he finds the right guard and he sees whether he's going to be sealing the second level, in which case he then would be the kick out player of this alley if this strong safety came down. All right? An easy block back for the center on the shade. The left tackle does what we call the 18-inch cutoff, meaning he's going to step in this gap to make sure the 5 technique is not stunting the gap. And then if he isn't, he's going to climb and he's going to go to the Mike linebacker. Okay? He can get that block because when we shuffle to the midline, as I mentioned, it really tends to hold these linebackers in place because they're not sure whether he's going to pull it and throw a pass. So they really sit there when the running back shuffles over and the quarterback's holding the ball out like that in his stomach. Okay? And then the running back will shuffle over and then he's going to head back and follow the left guard. Okay? It seems like he doesn't get a good running start, but it really becomes a really good play because you get all these block downs and the flow goes the other way, and he has a good opportunity to get outside or possibly cut it up into the alley behind the kickoff block, okay? You can also do this as a quarterback sweep. So you can take the running back, let him run up the midline, or let him fill on the backside, and then let the quarterback carry it. I'm not a fan of running the quarterback. I've always felt like, even when I was doing defense as a head coach, because I help prepare all the defensive stuff, if you've got a starting quarterback, there's a reason that number 2 isn't starting, because number 1's probably better. And so I never tried to put my quarterback in a running situation on a design quarterback run in the regular season, because I didn't want to lose that guy. I felt like that was disrespectful to the team to put him in a position where we would lose the guy that may be the most critical guy we had running the offense. So I didn't do a lot of that, but I always had quarterback sweep, and I used it a few times inside the 10-yard line, and it worked really well because they never were expecting the quarterback to run it, because they never saw him run it in any of our film, okay? The other play that we would run to the 0 and the 5 technique would be outside zone, and we're simply have these two takeover blocks where the lineman that's covered has a reach block with the idea that he's going to get, that the guy inside of who's uncovered will take his person over, and then he'll climb to the second level and seal any second level pursuit. So the left tackle and left guard do that, the center and right guard do that, and then the right tackle is going to seal the 3, the tight end seals the 7. We know that the center should get the SAM on his, as he flows and he sees this outside zone track by the running back, okay? Once again, we've run a 3 route, a 5 route, a 4 route, and a 0 route. So I've got information on 4 of our pass plays by running plays, okay? So we don't always run the same pass route when we run a run play. The last one that we had in that we used occasionally, but not as often as these two in particular, is that we would run trap. Because these linebackers would sit when the running back shuffled over, it gave us a good opportunity to get to them quick. And so what we would do is the center blocks back on the shade. Now the right guard is going to come down and once again knock him into this A gap and then climb to the Mike linebacker. The left guard pulls, does his kick out by running into the line and fanning out on the 3, who is going to play his B gap. And then the left tackle on the backside steps in the gap, seals the defensive end 5 technique, and the right tackle climbs to seal the linebacker, and then you can hit that thing and split the defense really well with that trap, okay? So these are some food for thought run plays that work really well when you're doing Twins Pro, because as I mentioned earlier, you generally can always get numbers in the box in Twins Pro. And these attack a defender's technique, and it gives the lineman good blocking angles to be successful running the ball out of Twins Pro. So let's look at some advantages that having the Twins Pro formation can provide for us when we want to throw a pass, or as we design our pass concepts. The first thing is you'll notice that we're able to keep our Twins formation. And most of us have double Twins formations, and we've developed combinations where when we're 2-on-3 that we really like and can attack this 2-on-3 even though it might be a disadvantage. So it enables us to keep those concepts over to this side of the formation, okay? The second thing is the Z can be isolated. A lot of times your Z receiver is a really good receiver, and in order to get him isolated, you need to split him out. So when we add the tight end into the formation and we split him out, we have an opportunity to get him in a one-on-one or a one-on-two situation if we do things correctly, okay? The third thing is you'll notice that we now have tight end route tree. In other words, we can take this tight end and we can, in this particular scenario, if they play the Sam outside, we can run him straight up the field to attack the middle of the field. We can also run him on that shallow. So we have a seam, we have a shallow, and then off of this seam, we can run a dig route or what you might call a basic route. We could also run a corner route. So we have all these tight end route concepts. And by having that tight end there, we pretty much force this Sam to move inside, to play inside the tight end to defend against those type of inside routes that we're going to run. So now what we've done is we've enabled us to get the Z out in perhaps a 2-on-1 scenario. But in either case, having the tight end in here and having those routes has enabled us to influence the defense to change, move the Sam in to the box, which we're okay with because we've gone over the run plays and our ability to block him or not have that influence us. And we now influenced their defensive structure to enable us to get that Z in an even better position, okay? So the other thing that we have is if we put the running back over on the side of the tight end, we now, if we send this running back out in any type of swing or bubble route, or if we want to send him into the flat, we're able to attack this open area in here with a running back. And what happens, what that does there is that influences this Sam linebacker, okay? He's pretty much committed to playing and stopping and walling off the tight end routes, okay? So if we add the running back into the pass routes, we've made this a 3-on-3 scenario. When we don't add the running back in, they're able to put the same linebacker inside the tight end and play 3-on-2 just like they would over here against this two-man combination. So adding the running back in creates 3-on-3. The other thing that does, if you're successful throwing to that running back out in the flat or on these swing routes, is a lot of times now they'll go ahead and rotate this strong safety down and move the corner back. And so they'll play more of a 3-deep concept over on the pro side to protect against this flat and to protect against the running back coming out. And so what that does now is that allows us to take this Z, we can run posts, we can run comebacks, we can run digs, and influence the strong safety. For example, if we ran a flat route with the back and we ran a dig route, that strong safety is going to come down and that'll open that up. So you see, by having the pro formation on that other side, it really makes this defense play one coverage over on the left and another coverage on the right if they have that capability, okay? So that's given us an opportunity to control this pro side with this 3-receiver route, okay, by putting the running back in there. The other part of this passing advantage that we get is play action. When we talked about the runs, we talked about how when this running back shuffles over to the midline and we run all our plays on the midline, it really slows the linebackers down. So they're going to have to sit and read whether that's going to be a handoff or that quarterback's going to pull it and drop back. And so what that does now is by using the running game and then inserting the play action passes, we've enabled this tight end to get out into his routes with this Sam linebacker being delayed because he's needed to help on the run. We've been running the ball successfully in this Twins pros, and we've got them in a mindset of when that quarterback sticks that ball in the running back's stomach as he shuffles over, they're not sure, and they have to play run first, okay? Because remember, these linebackers have a run and a pass responsibility, okay? And it should be in that order. In other words, they need to protect their run gap and then react to pass. So we're going to delay them, which will enable this tight end to get in any one of these routes a lot easier and cleaner with regard to that. Okay? The other question that people would ask was, how would we protect that? And so if we look at this, I always block big on big. In other words, if you are covered, that is your man. And I've written a whole book on this on pass protection with a tight end or without a tight end. Once again, you can find that on Amazon.com. Books, search my name. So we're going to have the tackle block the 7 technique, the guard blocks the 3 technique, the center blocks the nose, and the left tackle blocks the 5. They're covered, that's who they have. All right? So the left guard is responsible for the mic or could be the will. So he would read the mic 1 to the will 2 if he comes. We're pretty certain that he's not going to come because they would like to play 3-on-2. And if he does come, then what usually happens is the free safety walks down and they end up playing man-to-man. So you get a pretty good tell if this will linebacker's coming or not, and the quarterback can communicate that to him. We also know that if the will linebacker was somehow walked over and stacked over the 5, there's a pretty good chance that he's coming. Okay? So that's how we would protect it. That's the advantage of what the play action does to slow down the linebackers when we mix the pass and the run together. And that's what happens when we use these advantages, the twins routes, isolating the Z, having a good tight end route tree, and then putting the running back in the pass routes. All those things give us options that put it in our favor with regard to the plays we want to run and make the defense adjust to this twins pro formation. So I've given you some examples of the run plays that I used in twins pros that I think that gives us an advantage. Let me give you some food for thought with some pass plays that I use that you can consider and or that will spark your ideas in terms of how you would like to use this formation to attack the defense and with passes. So the first one I have is called the zero route, and I call all my route combinations by numbers. I think it's a little easier to disguise at the line of scrimmage, but that's a whole book that I did on that. So anyway, this first combination is my zero route, and over here on the twin side, the X is going to run a seam, and what we're going to have him do is we're going to have him release inside shoulder of the corner, press the inside shoulder, and then stack him. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to have this route influence the corner to carry him up the field at a depth that will allow us to get the speed out at 5 yards. And will also influence this free safety to come over to guard him. So we're going to use one route to get the other route open. If this corner doesn't carry him and he sits on the speed out and then the free safety is late or he's too far over as he stacks the corner, then we could go ahead and throw this one right here. So either one of those, we're basically high-low in the corner and we're going to read the free safety. The second, over on the pro side, what we're going to do is we're going to play 3-on-3, and we're going to take the tight end and run a post route, which should allow this same linebacker to have to wall him to a certain depth, and usually that's anywhere from 8 to 10 yards. Okay? So that clears him out for us to be able to go slant to swing. And what we would do is, if this strong safety is going to read the tight end, then he would start heading over to the post. Okay, he would see that deep route. Well, that would allow us to throw the slant, and if for some reason the corner chased the slant, we would just dump it to the back on the swing route. So it's an easy read for the quarterback on either side, and it's a drop back pass. So that would be the zero route that we would throw out of Twins Pro. And we feel like we have a pretty good idea of how to attack that. The second route, drop back, that I'm going to give you as an example is what I call the one route. This is a common combination out of twins against 3-on-2, and that is running a hitch by the corner, a hitch against the corner with the X, so that we would hold the corner here, okay? And then that would allow us to throw the corner route basically one-on-one against the free safety. If the corner happens to sink and try to play in between, then we're always going to take the hitch route if he does that, okay? A common route concept when you're in twins versus three defenders, and so that's nothing new. Over here on the pro side, what we do then is, in order to enable us to have, if this hitch and corner are covered fairly well, then what we would want to do is we're going to run a shallow across, so as the quarterback goes back, if this will linebacker either blitzes or he drops to help wall that, and we would throw the shallow right in that area, okay, with the tight end coming across. We know that the Sam linebacker is going to try to wall the tight end. When he sees him go, what we're going to try to do is we're going to take this B and run a seam route. And we're going to run this as tight as we can, right down the field off of the tight end, wherever the tight end lines up. So that we would be one-on-one, this Sam linebacker with our running back, which we think is a pretty good matchup. Over here on the Z, we're going to run a post corner, and the whole concept is we want to influence the strong safety to come over to take the Z so that we can basically be one-on-one with that Sam linebacker, okay? If the strong safety goes over, then we know that this corner at some point is going to release the Z because he's thinking he has safety help, that this is 2-on-1. So we're going to put the strong safety in a bind there, and we're going to put our running back against the linebacker running, okay? So those are the two drop back passes I want to give you as an example. Let's look at two play actions. The first is a play action on our 2 route, and over here on the twin side, on the 2 route, the X runs a slant, the A runs a seam fade, meaning we would really like him to get past this free safety and have this be a deep ball. The play action gives us time. We talked about the play action holding the linebackers, okay? And it would also hold the will linebacker because he's not sure. Remember, we could run outside zone with that. He's not sure because he's a run pass player whether he needs to go wall that A or not. So we would play action, and then we would look to throw either the seam or we could throw the slant depending on what the will did. If he vacated that area to go wall or if he blitzed, that gives us a chance to either keep him in that area because he sees we have a slant or to take advantage of him not being in there. Over here on the pro side, we're going to run an out and up with the Y and a dig with the Z. And so we've held the same linebacker with our play action. So if he drops, he would spot drop into the dig, okay? If he's late getting there, or if he's spot drops straight back, we could throw this dig in this first window in front of the strong safety. The other thing that we like to do is this corner will carry this dig route a certain depth. And then when we run the out and up, we're going to ask this Y to get outside of him and take it as wide as he can on that corner to stretch the strong safety. In the event that the strong safety goes over the top, we would throw the dig. If the strong safety hung right there, then we're going to go ahead and throw it over the top on the out and up, okay? We've had a lot of success with this, particularly if you're inside the 20-yard line. Particularly 15-yard line is really good. I even run it on the 10, and it ends up just being a corner fade ball to the tight end, okay? You can do this from the hash, the right hash in this particular instance, or if you put if the ball's on the hash and you put the pro into the boundary, it works really well, okay? So that's the 2 route play action. The other play action I want to give you food for thought with is the 5 route. And the reason I want to do this is notice that on the 2 route, the Y is running an out and up, and on the 5 route, he's running an out. So I believe that they can't tell what he's going to do, that these look similar. The other part of this that looks similar on the pro is this Z is going to run a fade. Now, depending on where the corner is, I actually might tell him to release inside if the corner is farther outside and just stack him like we did over on the 0 route. So we can run a fade that way. I never tell a receiver to run into the technique of the defensive back that's playing over top of him. So we always go the release of least resistance, so he would release in and run a fade, okay? Which, when he does that and he releases inside the corner, that kind of shields his vision from this out, so we can throw this out area pretty quickly off of this play action. We know the same linebacker's not going to come because we've got the play action. We also say that if this strong safety rotates down to take that, then we just throw it over the top, okay, on the pro side. Then back here on the play action, I always like to have, if I'm going to work one side, a route coming across from the other side. In this particular case, it's a post route by the A, and so a lot of times what I've told him to do is, if we tag this route and we know we're going to throw it, he would play action fake, take a quick 3, and then keep his eyes on this side, and then hitch up and throw it to the back side. Because we know this area is wide open. So the post over on this side generally is a complement to the side over here on the pro side as a backside route, okay? There's not a lot of times we play action and throw this route, so basically we're going to work the pro side with the backside post by the A against the free safety, okay? So there's some food for thought. You can design these pass plays any way you like with straight drop back or play action passes, but you should get an idea of some of the advantages that you can have by drop back passing or play action passing out of Twins Pro.